Hi, Michaela. How are you?
Good morning. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Looks beautiful over there.
It is.
Morning.
You
Yeah.
know, the only thing is that there's a film of Scotch broom allergies just sitting around me.
Oh,
Yeah, I love this time of year. It's my favorite time of year, but I can honestly say in all of the years that I've lived here, this is the worst allergy year. So I'm not sure what, if it was the water that we got or what, or if it's just that everything got a break from people. So
yeah,
it's blossoming.
exactly.
But yeah, so my eyes are a little like, oh, but yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful morning.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling some allergies right now, but it's also so beautiful. Everything is growing and spring is here. So we're super happy. Maybe you can start. I mean, we've been in a conversation before, one of the first podcast episodes. You were my guest, but maybe you can introduce yourself again, and then we'll get into the today's topic.
Yes, absolutely. And I love too that likewise you were one of the first guests on my podcast.
Yeah,
So I just love how it's come full circle. And I think I've known you virtually for about a year. It's hard to believe it's been that long.
I know. It's amazing. It's so
So
beautiful.
Ah,
Mm.
I'm Michaela Johnson, Michaela Renee Johnson. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and podcast host, award-winning author with a new incredible book out that I'm so excited about called Empowered, a Motivational Journal for Women.
Mm.
And my whole thing, my elevator pitch is that I love to inspire people to live a courageous life of authenticity and speak their truth with grace.
That's so beautiful, and it's so important. The topic is so important, and I think now I think books are so important right now because when we get to slow down, also we have more time to focus on like self development, which is huge now, right? So I think it's
Absolutely.
so inspiring. What inspired you to write the book?
I actually got contacted by the publisher, so it was kind of backwards. I have so many books that are constantly kind of in the making. Like I currently have 3 books that I'm working on. One is a self-help, one is a psychological thriller, which is just a fun thing for me, and one is a youth book for kids. And so when they reached out to me and said that they were interested in having me write this journal, this book, I couldn't say no. It just completely aligned with everything that I believe in and everything that I, inspire others about. So it felt really good to me.
Mm.
And the process was amazing. I absolutely loved working with them. It's new for me because a lot in the past, I've done various different types of publishing. This is the first time I have had that real big world traditional publisher involved. And it's very different. So it's been exciting.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And what is the main focus and purpose with the book?
So it's just a motivational journal for women, and it's basically like 90 days worth of prompts for women to dive into their narrative, their negative self-talk, things that might be holding them back from achieving their dreams. And it's just really creative prompts that encourage them to kind of dive in. They're out of the box. They're prompts that I've personally used in my own life, and also have used in my psychotherapy practice. So like doing art workshops and things like that. Um, and I've really seen the immense power that you can have when you allow yourself to tap into a more subconscious space.
Mm.
And so the work and the prompts that are in there encourage that. They encourage that in-depth dive into the spirit, really, the spirit side of you that lives freely and isn't held back by others' opinions and beliefs and judgments, things like that. So,
I love that.
and
Can't
I'm wearing a sweatshirt today because I am actually taking the book out into desolation wilderness to get a couple of pictures. So I'm doing a
believe.
5-mile hike today to a waterfall. So I'm really
Wow.
excited about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. It's been fun. Like being in the publishing world like this, the marketing team has their requirements, which I'm so unfamiliar with, but but it's been really fun to try to fulfill some of their ideas and stuff and get creative with, you know, the promotion of it, really. So that's been fun too.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm so happy for you. And also an important topic right now, with everything that's been happening, and also the time that we have, because I see it as we have like released some time to dive deeper into ourselves, and that's where self-care comes in, right?
Absolutely.
So I would love to hear like your take on the self-care part. Like, what would you recommend, especially for people that, I mean, everyone is going through their own different types of evolution within themselves right now in this whole process. So for some it might feel light and airy, and for some it feels deeper, and it brings out a lot of things from like our shadows. So what would you like recommend right now, like, and what is self-care?
You know, first I have to say your hair is beautiful. As you were talking, I was trying to focus on your words and not that beautiful hair. Oh my gosh.
Oh, nice.
But I think exactly what you said is that we're probably, most of us are going to experience high days and low days. We're going to have all of the in-betweens. And actually, somebody who's a friend of mine that's in the stock market said the only person that gets hurt on a roller coaster is the one who jumps off. And I really liked that idea that it's okay. It's okay. As you know, we're just going to strap ourselves in, and we're going to enjoy the highs when they come, and relish in them, and dance and sing and embrace them, and holler and hoop. And then when we're having our low days, we're going to announce that too. And we're going to say, I'm not doing well today, and I need some assistance from my support group, from the people that I have around me. And if you don't have a support team, that now is a great time to make those connections with the internet. There's so many ways in which people can connect. I mean, I don't know that we would have done a virtual session if it weren't for the way things are, because I probably wouldn't have been as comfortable and savvy with it. So, you know, beautiful things can come from this. And I also think that you said something else that was important, which is that when we silence everything around us, we begin to hear our inner truth. And sometimes it's not always comfortable. Sometimes our inner truth can say things that are hurtful, or remind us of times that we're not as happy. And that's okay, because the greatest work that we do as humans is when we're uncomfortable. And the greatest change that has come about as a species really has come when something wasn't sitting right, when something didn't feel comfortable. And as humans, we're programmed, we're hardwired to solve problems. We're really the type of species that looks at things and says, what can I do to improve upon that? What can I do to make that better? And so if there's something that's not sitting well with you in your belly, it's your intuitive self saying, now's the time for you to explore how to make this better. And that's a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing.
Yeah, exactly. And when we go, because I'm also listening to an audiobook regarding it's around the dark goddesses. So it's like going,
Kali Ma.
yeah, there's so many, Kalima, Ilana, and going that also to the underworld, and that's actually within us. It's very metaphorical, and that's when great transformation happens. And I mean, we just have, right now when we're recording, we just had the full moon in Scorpio, which is all about death and rebirth, and it can feel very intense, but it's also, that's when deep transformation comes. I mean, we're so afraid of something, like we're not afraid of how life begins, but we're afraid of how life ends. And that's like an unhealthy, conditioned thought. Like that's how, because we don't speak about it in society, and we're not talking about it. It's like taboo. It's like everything that's become taboo. So if we see life as something that always is in a cycle, and there's so many cycles within one life, then it becomes more understandable, and also we can digest it. And right now, it's, instead of indulging in, like, I just passed I don't watch the news or anything like that, but I passed like these, these posters and stuff from the news, and they're just like, for me, I look at it and I see it as like so much propaganda and just scare tactics, because they want to sell their magazines and stuff like that. And but it's not real. It's like, now I have something that I do every day now I say, thanks to what's happening right now, we are able to do this. I do that every day now, like, oh, thanks to this, I'm able to do this, and thanks to this, something has changed like this, like the environment is thriving more, and we are coming back to like our core values and things like that. And self-care can be so much, but it can also be, we were talking today about how when you watch the news, or when you're even watching just a movie, like maybe logically you're watching it, and you know that it's not real, right? But in your body it feels real. So when you're watching something and you get scared, it's like a trauma within you, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I hadn't thought about it like that, but yes, that's powerful what you said.
Yeah, because I'm very sensitive. So if I watch something that scares me, or really it's very sad, or it makes me feel unsafe, then I really feel it, and that can sit with me for a very long time. So I'm very sensitive. Like, what I'm watching it's very important that it's filtered out and listening to
Yes.
as well. So why put yourself through like mini traumas? Maybe you're not conscious about it. Some people can watch it and not feel it straight away, but it's like accumulating throughout our lives. So it's really important to know, like, to filter out and know, like, what are you trying to program your mind with as well.
I absolutely agree. I actually just wrote about this in my e-journal and said, that one of the things that I think happens when we're faced with a trauma or an immense situation of grief or loss or any kind of intense overwhelm is that it's natural to kind of gravitate to want to grab something and hold on to it for insight and for help. But insight has to come from within. That's why it's called insight and not outside.
Mm. Yeah.
And so, I had this realization that I was starting to really consume information that was not helping me, that was not beneficial to me, that was being dictated to me or told to me, or propagating fear and perpetuating fear. And I did not. I had this stark realization that I'm responsible for what I consume, and that everything that I know and know is my truth and need is within me. And once I started living in that mindset, it was really empowering. Up until that point, I was actually really feeling overwhelmed by what the school district, for example, was telling me that I needed to do as a parent. And what they were telling me I needed to do ended up resulting in hours of arguments and tears and that sort of thing. And then I just realized, like, I stayed home with my son from the moment he was born until he was 5 years old. And I knew instinctually as a mother what my son needed and how to raise him and how to educate him. And I had all of that within me, and what behaviors to model. And the minute that I decided I wasn't going to be told how to educate my son, but that I was going to look and listen and see what I needed to do, suddenly the arguments stopped, the crying stopped, and we started having a really great time together. And then I was able to do exactly what you said earlier, which is to say, thanks to this time, I'm able to be home with my son again. And find those kind of special gratitude moments that were getting lost in the fear and the anger and the resentment and all those feelings that were coming up because I was choosing poorly on what I was allowing myself to consume.
Mm. Yeah, that's very true. What I find is beautiful now is also that we are things are that weren't accessible before, although we have like the internet and all of this. I see some classes that I might have not been able to join because it's in a different city, and now they're offering it online.
Or a
So
different
it's like,
country.
yeah, and it's like opening up. So it will be even less boundaries because it's like going into like how do we melt together even more. It's like the age of Aquarius. It's no boundaries, it's boundaryless. So it's really beautiful that way. And yeah, just taking care of yourself, like how you're, yeah, everything that you're consuming. And also like this small, maybe you have some tips from your book, like
Yeah.
what are some of the exercises and things that are important that you feel in the
Yeah.
book right now? Yeah.
Definitely. And I'll even share with you what I've personally been doing, because I've definitely
Mhm.
had days where I'm feeling like things are difficult or not sustainable. And then I have days where I feel things are really great and amazing and wonderful. But what I really highly recommend is starting the morning with some sort of gratitude. If it's a gratitude journal that you have, or if it's just a statement that you can make, just to set the motion for the day. And then one thing that you want to accomplish, and not like a big thing like, oh, I want to make $1 million or something like that, but more like, I'd like to get the laundry folded today, something tangible that you can actually achieve in a single day. And the reason for that is because part of empowerment is realizing we can do it. True story, my husband actually said last night, I made my son a large bowl of salad, and he goes, give him like half of that so he can eat it all and feel like he accomplished that, And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, like, let me give him a smaller portion and he can finish the whole thing. And that's true for us too. We need to have those little wins. We need to feel like we've been able to accomplish something. And sometimes when a lot of things are outside of our control, or we're not in our normal routine or structure, it can be really difficult to feel like you're doing anything right. And so if you have one small thing that you start your day off with and you're able to accomplish that, it can be a really big win for you. And the other thing I really love is the Insight Timer app. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but for meditation, for guided meditation, you can do it with kids. You can do it if you've never even heard of what meditation is. They have beautiful guided visualizations and different things like that. And if you schedule, just a 4-minute guided meditation or a 4-minute mindfulness, it can really be a great reset for any kind of negative thoughts that you've had throughout the day and things like that. The other thing is, I've been splurging. So if I have a favorite thing, then I've been getting that thing and I've been enjoying that thing. And for me, it might be something simple like a comfort meal, or it might be buying this mug that I wanted for so long, so that every day that I'm home, I can enjoy my coffee in this mug or my tea in this mug. So, if there's something small that could bring you a lot of happiness, or can really make you feel good about yourself, then do that. If it's a special treat you've been wanting, or something you've been wanting to give to someone else, that can be really powerful too. And I think calling others um, and and sharing with them and asking how they're doing can be another really powerful thing. So whether it's grandma or a friend you haven't talked to in a while, picking up the phone every day and making a phone call for just a few minutes can also be a really empowering thing. And lastly, I really encourage people to think about it this way. There has never been a better time to be the you that you want to be. There's never been a better time. You've never had a better excuse to let go of stuff that you didn't like and start new. So start making a list of what you want your life to look like. What things would you change if you had the perfect excuse? Because now you do.
Mm.
And that's powerful too.
Yeah, yeah, just see because every like uphill has a downhill. So even I think we've reached like, I feel like the energy has reached its peak. So now it's going to be easier. I feel like that. I don't know how it is in
Well,
other countries.
I
Yeah.
needed to ask you that because I think I mentioned to you on Instagram, you'd done an Insta story that, you know, for almost 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I was waking up in the middle of the night, and that's very rare for me. And I could not go back to sleep. And that is also very rare for me. But I have noticed in the last couple of days, that's not been happening. So I feel like you said to me, there's a shift happening.
Mm.
And I've noticed, I think it is starting to pass because I'm not feeling it. At least it's not waking me up in the middle of the night anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, we had like this intense, it was felt so deeply in our bodies. It's really intense when the collective is suffering. And then
Yeah.
I felt like this past weekend was like very grounding because we're still in Taurus time. When we were in Aries, it was really fired up, and it's like instinct. Everything is based on instinct, like our primal instincts. Then when we get into Taurus, it really grounds us, like slow down, like really think about this, and like what do I value? And now Taurus's ruler, Venus, next week will be going retrograde, so it will be like even slowing down.
Oh,
And
wow.
then, yeah, this week we've had shifts, like big shifts astrologically, and we had this full moon. And I think around this
Super
it
moon even.
comes, yeah, the Scorpio full moon. It really started to, because there has to be a point where, like, let's say you're crying every day. There has to be a point where that shifts, right? So everything has a
Yeah.
shift. Everything has a like a response. So it
Mhm.
can't be like mourning all day. It has to be some breaking point. So I think that's what's happening, but also that we've come together and created so much beautiful things, and people are connecting. So I'm really, yeah, looking forward to seeing what's coming up. And yeah, I think just take the time to like enjoy everything. When you have more stillness, like take the time to practice. Like maybe you don't have uh, I think now for many people, I'm not saying everyone has this situation, but for many people, there has been freed up so much space also, especially when you're allowed to be at home, like allowed to uh, have your schedule a little bit. That's not all professions, of course, but some people are getting the time to meditate more, or to practice yoga more, or to just do, yeah, just mindfulness exercises more. So it's really a good time to, if, yeah, if there's something that you have wanted to do, even if it takes 10 minutes a day, now you have more space to do it. Sometimes our mind gets cluttered by all the things that we need to do and plans, that even 10 minutes feels like a long time. We don't have time for it, but we actually do.
I'll tell you, as a psychotherapist for years, I have heard my clients say, I'd love to start journaling, but I don't have time.
Mm,
I'd love to meditate, but my kids drive me nuts all night, and I don't have time. I'd love to do yoga, but I don't have time. I've heard this for years.
mm,
And so now it's like, okay, what's your excuse? What's your reason now, you know? And I think that that's an important thought too, is that, you know, there was a time when you thought you were incredibly busy, or that time or things were incredibly stressful, and look at life now. Look at how things are so temporary, you know. And if you think about that in the big global scheme of things, then you kind of go, all right, well, if this is temporary, how do I want to use this temporary time to the best of what I've got? Because if I don't, it's going to be gone, and I'm going to look back on that and think, gosh, I could have done this, I could have done that. You know,
mm.
what are the things that you will wish you had done when the temporary is over, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's a good thought and a good way of seeing this. And just to close the call, do you want to share anything else, and how can people find your new book?
Oh yeah, it's on Amazon, and I'll give you a couple links as well. And they can find me at beyoufindhappy.com. So BEYOU findhappy.com.
Thank you so much for this
Yeah, this was
conversation.
fantastic. I'm so glad that we finally got to connect again, and
Yes.
such a special time for all light workers, I think.
Mm,
And I think that personally, you know, I've been seeing repeating new numbers and things like that for quite a few months. And so I feel like there was a lot of preparation for this time.
yeah.
And it's a really exciting time to be here and to be working my master path. Anyways, I'm loving it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And thank you so much.
Thank
And I'm
you.
wishing you a beautiful day today.
You too, Shireen. Take care.
Thank you.